The juvenile Krathiks just ate the quantum drive core, and the human engineer's asking if anyone has duct tape. Commander Zelax's primary manipulator slammed the emergency lockdown protocol so hard the console cracked. Red warning lights bathed the observation deck in crimson panic as 3 sets of containment alarms shrieked in harmony. Through the reinforced transparisteel viewport, he could see them. 3 juvenile Krathiks, each capable of ripping through battle armor like tissue paper, playing with what appeared to be the scattered contents of a human toolbox. "Someone tell me." Zelax's voice came out as a strangled hiss. "How the most dangerous predator species in known space escaped from a containment system designed to hold dark matter." "They didn't escape, sir." Security Chief R. Hill's voice trembled. "They uninstalled the door with a screwdriver." "What?" "The human screwdriver, sir. Philip's head, they used it correctly. We didn't even know Krathiks possessed fine motor control until—" "Where is the human?" Zelax roared. "Right here, Commander." Emma Martinez stepped onto the observation deck, coffee cup in one hand, looking remarkably unconcerned for someone whose toolbox had just armed the galaxy's apex predators. "And before you ask, yes, I see them. Having the time of their lives with my good ratchet set, I might add." Zelax stared at her. The entire observation deck stared at her. Below them, a Krathik's cub, all 600 pounds of crystalline scales, retractable claws, and enough venom to drop an armored battalion, was happily using a pipe wrench to disassemble the environmental control panel. It was purring. The wrench fit its claws perfectly. That is a Class 9 predator," Zelax managed. "It should be sedated. It should be contained. It should not be using human tools to dismantle critical infrastructure." "Technically," Emma took a sip of coffee, "it's reassembling that panel. See? It's putting it back together better than it was. Though I gotta say, using a torque wrench for structural modification is creative. Wrong, but creative." Another cub had discovered her drill. The high-pitched whirring sound made every alien on the observation deck flinch. The cub was using it to create perfectly symmetrical holes in the reinforced walls. Holes that, impossibly, seemed to be improving the ventilation flow. Environmental readouts confirmed it. Air circulation had increased by 30%. "How is that possible?" Rahil whispered. "It's a DeWalt," Emma said, as if that explained anything. 20-volt lithium. That thing could drill through an engine block if you're patient enough. The third cub had found something that made Zelax's circulatory system freeze. His multi-tool. The sacred, expensive, human-made multi-tool that Emma had shown him last week. The one with 17 different functions that he still didn't fully understand. The cub had it completely disassembled, parts spread across the floor, in what looked like complete chaos. "My tool." Emma's voice sharp for the first time. "That's my leather man. Do you know how long it took me to break that in?" "Your tool." Zelax's vocal cords nearly snapped. "The predators have your tool, and you're worried about the tool?" It was expensive, and perfectly calibrated. Emma squinted through the viewport. "Wait, are they improving it?" The cub was indeed reassembling the multi-tool, but with modifications. Its claws moved with surgical precision, rearranging components, netting what looked like parts from other tools. When it finished, the cub held up the modified device and chittered, a sound that every xenobiologist on station had classified as pre-hunt excitement. Then it used the modified multi-tool to fix a plasma conduit that had been malfunctioning for 3 months. Perfectly. Efficiently. The power flow normalized immediately. "Code Omega," Zelax breathed. We need to implement Code Omega. Evacuate the station. Call the Galactic Fleet. This is beyond our... Or, Emma interrupted, you could let me go down there and get my tools back before they improve something actually important, like life support. Again. Again? Yeah. About 20 minutes ago, one of them recalibrated the oxygen mixture. We're all breathing about 15% more efficiently now. You're welcome, by the way. Absolutely not. Zillax blocked Emma's path to the access corridor. Those are Krathix juveniles. Their venom can liquefy internal organs. Their claws can shred dura steel. Their bite force can apparently calibrate a pneumatic torque wrench to factory specifications. Emma pointed at the viewport. Because that's what the middle one is doing right now. To your hydraulic system. With my wrench. While also chewing on it. It was true. The cub had the wrench clamped between its crystalline jaws, using it as both toy and tool simultaneously. Each time it bit down, the wrench clicked, adjusting pressure valves in the hydraulic lines with perfect precision. The station's mechanical stress indicators were dropping to levels not seen since installation. That's impossible, R. Hill said flatly. Those valves require a certified engineer and 3 hours of calibration. Or one bored Predator baby and my 3/4-inch Craftsman. Emma shrugged. Look, I'm just saying, they're doing a better job than your maintenance crew. An alarm blared, a new one. Station Security Chief Jotaro burst onto the observation deck, all 4 of his appendages flailing. Commander, the security grid. It's been completely rewired. Every sensor, every camera, every motion detector, they're all operating at 200% efficiency. How is that even measured? Zillax demanded. I don't know, but we can now detect unauthorized molecules. Jotaro pulled up a holographic display. Look at this. The smallest cub used wire strippers to... the strippers themselves, sir, like they were toys, and... somehow created a sensor network that shouldn't exist with our technology. Emma leaned over to examine the display. Huh, that's actually pretty clever. They daisy-chained the motion sensors through the power grid, uses the electrical field as a secondary detection method. We do something similar on Earth with... This is not helpful information, Zillax roared. I mean, it kind of is. Your security just got a massive upgrade for free. Below, the largest cub had discovered Emma's plasma torch. Every alien on the observation deck stopped breathing. Plasma torches operated at temperatures that could vaporize flesh in microseconds. In the claws of a juvenile Krathix, a species known for impulsive, chaotic behavior, it was a weapon of mass destruction. The cub activated it. The blue-white flame roared to life, and the cub began welding. Perfectly. It moved along the wall seams with the precision of a master craftsman, creating joins so flawless that structural integrity readings began climbing. The welds were better than the originals, better than anything the station's fabrication team had ever produced. I'm having a neural cascade, Zillax said quietly. This is a neural cascade. I'm experiencing critical system failure due to paradox overload. You're fine, Commander. Emma patted his shoulder. Just breathe. Well, breathe better than normal since the cubs fixed that too. The smallest cub had moved on from the security system. It now had Emma's power drill and was enthusiastically digging into the walls, creating holes that, impossibly, were activating dormant cooling systems. Temperature regulation throughout the sector was normalizing for the first time in years. The cub chittered happily with each new hole, showering itself in metal shavings. They think this is a game, R. Hill whispered in horror. Of course they do. Emma finished her coffee. They're kids. Smart kids with built-in cutting implements and apparently an instinctive understanding of mechanical engineering, but still kids. The protocols. Jitaro was frantically scrolling through his datapad. None of our containment protocols account for subjects who improve the facility. Do we tranquilize them? Do we reward them? The manual literally doesn't cover helpful destruction. Maybe try asking them nicely to stop, Emma suggested. Asking them. Zilax's voice cracked. They're predators. They don't understand. He was interrupted by the arrival of Chief Engineer Vex Thule, who skidded onto the observation deck in a state of absolute panic. Commander, the structural integrity of Section 7 has increased by 40%. The Cubs built something with a hammer. It looks like a nest, but it's load-bearing. It's supporting weight that should require reinforced pylons. My framing hammer, Emma said sadly. I just broke that in last month. They used it to drive support beams into stress points we didn't even know existed. Vex Thule pulled up more displays. It's brilliant. It's insane. It's architecturally perfect. Through the viewport, all three Cubs had gathered around Emma's reassembled multi-tool. The largest one held it up, and the device, now sporting additional functions that shouldn't physically fit, began projecting a holographic display. The Cubs chittered excitedly, pointing at various station systems with their claws. Are they reviewing station schematics? Hill asked in disbelief. No, Emma corrected, squinting at the display. They're making a list of things to fix. Oh, that's adorable. They made a priority queue. Adorable. Zilax grabbed the edge of the console to steady himself. They're planning systematic infrastructure modification without authorization. With color coding, Emma pointed. Red for critical, yellow for important, green for nice to have. These kids are more organized than your engineering department. Senior xenobiologist Kaeldra arrived within the hour, summoned from the Galactic Science Institute with promises of career-defining impossibility. She took one look at the Cubs' handiwork, and her 4 eyes widened in perfect synchronization. That's a fortress, she breathed. They've built a structural fortress using improvised materials and human tools. The architectural principles are sound. More than sound, they're revolutionary. The Cubs had indeed constructed something magnificent, using Emma's tools in ways that violated every instruction manual ever written. They'd created a multi-level structure that incorporated the station's existing framework. Pipes became support beams. Wall panels became defensive positions. Cable runs became a distribution network. The fortress had somehow increased facility efficiency ratings to 147%, a number that, according to 3 different monitoring systems, should not exist. How? Kaeldra demanded. How are they doing this? Kids just need proper supervision, Emma said, watching the Cubs work. Give them the right toys, the right environment. They'll surprise you. These are not children. Kaeldra spun to face her, all 4 eyes blazing. Krathik's juveniles are apex predators. Their neural architecture is optimized for hunting, killing, survival. They should be incapable of... She gestured helplessly at the fortress. Cooperative construction. And yet, Emma pointed. The smallest Cub was teaching the middle one how to use the level properly. They were chittering back and forth, clearly communicating, clearly teaching each other. Look at that. Peer learning, collaboration, problem-solving through trial and error. Impossible, Zilax muttered. All research indicates Krathik's development is purely predatory until maturity. All research was done on isolated, confined specimens. Kaeldra said slowly, her scientific mind catching up with reality. We never, we never gave them problems to solve. Just prey to hunt. Exactly. Emma snapped her fingers. You gave predators a hunting simulator when what they needed was an engineering challenge. They're bored. Below, the security team had arrived in full combat gear. 12 armed guards with tranquilizer rifles, neural disruptors, and containment fields. The cubs spotted them immediately, and everything went wrong. The largest cub grabbed Emma's modified multi-tool. The middle one snatched the plasma torch. The smallest one armed itself with the power drill. They formed a defensive perimeter around their fortress, chittering aggressively. Stand down, Jotaro commanded through the comms. We are authorized to... The cubs attacked, but not with claws or venom, with tools. The multi-tool projected a holographic barrier that scrambled the containment fields. The plasma torch welded the floor panels, creating obstacles that sent guards stumbling. The power drill hit the wall in precise locations, triggering automated blast doors that separated the security team. They're using the station against us, Hill whispered in horror. They learned the systems in 3 hours, and they're using them defensively. Not defensively, Emma corrected, watching the cubs' movements. Protectively. Look at their positioning. They're guarding the fortress, not attacking. They think your guards are threats to their... Oh? Zilax demanded. Oh, what? They think this is their home. They built it. They improved it. Now they're protecting it. It's territorial behavior, but constructive territorial behavior. Kyldra was frantically taking notes. This changes everything we know about Krathik's psychology. They're not just predators. They're builders, engineers. They need purpose. They need supervision, Emma said firmly. She stood up. I'm going down there. Absolutely not. Zilax and Kyldra shouted simultaneously. Emma was already walking toward the access corridor. Look, I can either go down and get my tools back peacefully, or you can keep sending security teams for them to practice their home defense strategies on. Your choice. This violates every safety protocol. Zilax blocked her path again. You'll be killed. By cubs using my tools? Commander, those tools were designed for humans. Monkey brain problem solving, trial and error. Make it work with what you've got. Emma grinned. These kids? They're operating on pure instinct. Hunt, adapt, overcome. That's the same problem-solving algorithm, just with more teeth. That's not how neural architecture works, Kyldra protested. Isn't it, though? Emma pushed past them both. Human tools work because we're persistence predators who learn to use resources creatively. Krathiks are apex predators with the same adaptive instinct. Match made in evolutionary heaven. She entered the access corridor. Every screen on the observation deck showed her progress. The security team fell back, creating a perimeter. Emma walked alone into the cub's fortress, hands visible, tools jingling on her belt. The cubs spotted her, and everything changed. The aggressive chittering stopped. The defensive postures relaxed. The largest cub, still holding the modified multi-tool, chirped. It was a questioning sound, almost hopeful. Hey kids, Emma's voice came through the comms, warm and casual. What you building? The cubs rushed toward her. The observation deck erupted in panic. Alarms blared. Security raised weapons. But the cubs didn't attack. They showed her. Each cub grabbed Emma gently, claws retracted, movements careful, and pulled her toward different parts of their fortress. They were chittering excitedly, pointing with tools, demonstrating their improvements. The largest one showed her the rewired power distribution. The middle one displayed the enhanced structural supports. The smallest one presented the optimized cooling system with obvious pride. Would you look at that? Emma's voice was soft with wonder. You fixed the thermal regulator. We've been trying to fix that for months. The smallest cub preened, clicking its multi-tool happily. They're showing her their work, Kaeldra whispered. Like younglings showing a parent. But Krathiks don't have parental bonds beyond egg-laying. They can't. They weren't supposed to build fortresses either, Arhil said quietly. On every screen, Emma knelt down to the cub's level, examining their modifications with genuine interest. She pointed at joins, tested welds, checked calibrations. The cubs watched her intently, chittering softly, clearly awaiting approval. This is good work, Emma said finally. Really good work, but you used my tools without asking. The cubs drooped. Actually drooped. 3 apex predators showing shame. However, Emma continued, since you did such a great job, and since this station clearly needs the help, how about we make a deal? The cubs perked up immediately. Zilax found his voice. She's negotiating with juvenile Krathiks, and they're understanding her. Our protocols, Jotaro said numbly, were designed for predators, not for whatever this is. This, Kaeldra said, her voice filled with scientific rapture, is first contact. Real first contact. We've been treating them like dangerous animals when they're actually kids with incredibly sharp problem-solving skills. Emma finished over the comms. And maybe if you'd given them problems to solve instead of just walls to stare at, we wouldn't have this situation. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor of the fortress. 3 Krathiks cubs arranged around her like students at story time. Through the comms, her voice was clear and patient. See? The thing about human tools is they're basically puzzle toys. Each one is designed to solve a specific problem, but in like 100 different ways if you're creative enough. She held up her socket wrench, recovered from the smallest cub's enthusiastic grip. This? It's meant to tighten bolts. But you can also use it as a hammer, a pry bar, a measuring tool, or, apparently, a chew toy that accidentally calibrates hydraulic systems. The middle cub chittered, gesturing at the fortress with obvious pride. Exactly. Emma grinned. You figured out that the same principles work everywhere. Leverage, torque, pressure distribution, they're universal. You didn't need instructions because the tools teach themselves through use. Kaeldra was recording everything, her scientific instruments capturing data at maximum capacity. The human design philosophy, she murmured into her recorder. Not optimized for single-purpose efficiency, but for adaptive problem-solving. If it's stupid, but it works. It's not stupid, Emma finished. That's rule number 1 in human engineering. These kids get that instinctively. Because Krathik's neurology is built for adaptive hunting, Zilax said slowly, understanding dawning. Stalk, assess, adapt, overcome. It's the same cognitive pattern. Exactly, Emma pointed at him. You kept them in containment with nothing but food and walls. No challenges, no problems, no stimulation. Then I show up with a toolbox full of mechanical puzzles, and suddenly, they found purpose. Kaeldra breathed. They weren't trying to escape. They were trying to build something, to fix things, to contribute. The largest cub nudged Emma's hand with its snout. Massive jaws capable of crushing armor, now gentle as a domestic pet. It chirped questioningly, holding up the modified multi-tool. Oh, you want to learn how to use this properly? Emma took the tool. All right, watch closely. This function here, she demonstrated the screwdriver attachment, is for precise work, Small screws, delicate electronics. You are using it correctly, but you can get better torque if you angle it like this. The cub watched intently. Then it took the tool back and mimicked her movements exactly. Perfect form, perfect control. Fast learner, Emma praised. The cub practically glowed. This is unprecedented, Jotaro said from the observation deck. Interspecies knowledge transfer with apex predators. The Galactic Safety Council will never believe. The Galactic Safety Council. Zilax interrupted, his voice hardening with determination. Has been operating on fear-based protocols for centuries. Look at our facility. Designed around containment, restriction, control. We never asked what these beings needed. We only focused on what we feared. He turned to Kaeldra. Your research classified Krathiks as non-social predators, pure hunters. Based on observation of isolated, understimulated specimens, Kaeldra admitted. We created the behavior we documented. Classic observational bias. Below, Emma was now teaching all three cubs proper tool nomenclature. This is a Phillips head screwdriver, fill lips, not pointy, twisty thing. The cubs chittered in what sounded remarkably like laughter. They think the names are funny, Emma reported. Okay, what about this one? This is a crescent wrench, crescent. More chittering. The smallest cub tried to repeat the sound and produce something that made the others burst into chittering laughter. They're joking, Arhill said in wonder. Apex predators are making jokes about tool names. They're children, Emma corrected gently. Smart, dangerous, evolutionarily perfect children who needed someone to teach them properly instead of just locking them up. Zilax made a decision. He activated the station-wide comms. This is Commander Zilax. As of this moment, the juvenile Krathiks are officially assigned to maintenance engineer Emma Martinez as assistants. Under human supervision, they will participate in station upkeep and repairs. Silence. Then chaos erupted across all channels. Protests, questions, demands for clarification. Furthermore, Zilax continued, voice firm. All human tools and equipment now require human supervision when used by non-human species. This is not a restriction. This is an acknowledgement that human problem-solving methodology requires human context. He looked at Kaeldra. Doctor, I want a complete reassessment of our containment and observation protocols, not based on fear, based on understanding. Kaeldra nodded, still recording. The Galactic Safety Council will need to convene emergency sessions. This changes our entire approach to predator species management. Let them convene, Zilax said. I'll be watching 3 juveniles learn proper torque specifications. On screen, Emma was demonstrating a socket wrench to her attentive students. See, you match the socket size to the bolt head. That's why they're called socket wrenches. And before you ask, no, I don't know why they're called sockets. Humans name things weird. The cubs chittered their agreement. The largest one selected the correct socket on its first try and proceeded to tighten a bolt with textbook-perfect technique. Good job. Emma high-fived its claw. The cub preened with obvious delight. She just high-fived a Krathix, Arhill said weakly. She just revolutionized xenobiology, Kaeldra corrected. She just saved us from our own protocols, Zilax added quietly. We built this facility to protect ourselves from them, but we should have been protecting them from isolation. Below, Emma's students were practicing with various tools, each movement more confident and controlled than before. They were learning, growing, thriving, and the station had never run better. 3 weeks later, The facility hummed with unprecedented efficiency. Commander Zillax stood on the observation deck, now repurposed as a teaching station, watching Emma Martinez guide 3 Krathix cubs through a complex repair sequence. All right, who remembers what size socket we need for these bolts? Emma held up a panel connector. The smallest cub chittered excitedly, digging through its own toolbox, a specially designed junior version with safety modifications and smaller tools. It held up a 10mm socket triumphantly. Perfect. Now, remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The cubs had become model residents. They attended daily maintenance lessons with Emma, practiced proper tool protocols, and had personally increased facility efficiency by 63%. Their fortress had been officially integrated into the station's infrastructure after engineers confirmed it was, impossibly, better than the original design. Kyeldra arrived with a datapad, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Commander, the Galactic Safety Council has officially revised predator containment protocols across all member systems. The new directive states, apex predator species require cognitive enrichment and purpose-driven activities, not merely containment. About time, Zillax murmured. There's more. 73 facilities have requested human consultants to implement what they're calling Martinez methodology. The Science Institute wants to establish a new field, predator enrichment engineering. And Emma declined 6 promotion offers in the last week, says, and I quote, "Someone's got to teach these kids properly." Below, Emma was demonstrating socket wrench technique. See, you want smooth, controlled motion, no jerking. That's how you strip threads. The middle cub mimicked her movements perfectly, tightening a bolt with practiced precision. It chittered proudly. Great job. Now check your work. Always check your work. The cub examined the connection, made a minor adjustment, then gave Emma an approximation of a thumbs up using its claw. She laughed and returned the gesture. They've developed their own sign language, Kyeldra noted. Tool-based communication supplementing their natural vocalizations. I've documented 47 distinct signals in 3 weeks. How many of those are Emma? Watch this. Zillax asked dryly. 32. The largest cub approached Emma with something hidden behind its back. The other 2 cubs chittered excitedly, clearly in on whatever was happening. What's this? Emma asked suspiciously. You 3 look way too proud of yourselves. The cub presented its gift with a flourish. Emma's eyes widened. Is that... No. Where the hell did you find that? It was a sculpture. An intricate, beautiful sculpture welded together from various metal scraps and components. And mounted at the very top, like a crown jewel, was Emma's missing 10mm socket. I've been looking for that for 3 months. Emma tried to sound stern, but was clearly fighting a grin. Where was it? The smallest cub chittered innocently, pointing at the ventilation system. You found it in the vents? How did it even... You know what? I don't want to know. Emma accepted the sculpture carefully. This is actually beautiful. Thank you. All 3 cubs preened, chittering with obvious delight. The largest one gently headbutted Emma's shoulder in what Kyeldra's research had identified as a Krathix affection gesture. They made her a gift, Arhill said, softly from his console. Apex predators made a human a thank-you gift. Using the socket wrench that, according to human tradition, always goes missing, Jotaro added, they researched human culture. Zillax watched Emma examine the sculpture, showing each cub what she appreciated about their craftsmanship. They responded with focused attention, clearly memorizing her feedback for future reference. Commander, Kaeldra said quietly, I've been analyzing the behavioral data. The cubs aren't just learning tool use. They're developing empathy, social cooperation, creative expression, traits we insisted Krathiks couldn't possess. Because we never gave them the opportunity, Zilax replied. We saw teeth and claws and decided that's all they were. And Emma saw children who needed guidance. Below, one of the cubs had already started sketching designs for a new sculpture using a stylus with surprising dexterity. The other two leaned in to offer suggestions, their chittering clearly collaborative rather than competitive. Emma noticed Zilax watching and waved. Commander, come down here. The kids want to show you the new cooling system design they came up with. Kids, Zilax repeated. She calls them kids. Well, Kaeldra smiled. What else would you call them? Zilax descended to the work area. The cubs greeted him with friendly chitters. No aggression, no fear. The largest one proudly presented a holographic blueprint projected from Emma's modified multi-tool. They designed this themselves? Zilax studied the schematic. It was brilliant, efficient, elegant. With supervision, Emma corrected. I showed them the principles. They applied them creatively. Pretty standard learning curve. There is nothing standard about this. Sure there is. Emma ruffled the smallest cub's crystalline crest. It leaned into her touch. They're not predators, Commander. I mean, yes, technically they're apex predators with enough venom to drop a battalion. But functionally, they're just bored toddlers with really sharp teeth. The cubs chittered their agreement, clearly understanding enough to find the description amusing. Bored toddlers, Zilax repeated slowly, who have revolutionized our understanding of predator psychology, rewritten galactic safety protocols, and somehow improved station efficiency by 63%. 65% as of this morning. The smallest cub's latest cooling system upgrade had pushed the numbers higher. Emma grinned. See? Give kids the right tools and proper supervision. They'll surprise you every time. Galactic Impact Report, filed by Dr. Kaeldra. 3 standard months post-implementation. The Martinez Incident. Official designation, first successful Krathiks integration protocol, has fundamentally altered our approach to apex predator species management across the galaxy. Key findings: human tools now classified as universal problem-solving devices, requiring species-specific training protocols. Facilities have implemented enrichment programs based on human maintenance philosophy. Predator-related incidents down 89% in facilities with enrichment programs. First documented cases of cross-species cooperation in previously incompatible predator species. Unexpected developments. Emma Martinez has become the galaxy's foremost expert on predator psychology, despite having no formal xenobiology training. Tool therapy, now recognized treatment for understimulated predator species. The 3 Krathiks cubs, officially designated as Emma's kids in station records, have requested to learn carpentry recommendation. Expand human-predator integration programs. Humans' evolutionary history as persistence predators who developed tool use provides unique insight into predator cognition. Their improvisation culture offers enrichment opportunities we never considered. Personal note: watched Emma teach the cubs how to use a level today. They built her a bookshelf. It's perfectly square, load-bearing, and includes a built-in charging station for her tools. They're not just learning, they're innovating. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. Not, how do we contain predators? But, what do predators need to thrive? Turns out the answer is simple. Purpose, problems to solve, and someone who sees past the teeth.